once again to the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen's meeting for September 12th, 2017. We opened the meeting at 6:02 p.m. and immediately went into executive session for reason number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, which I did. We're now back to the regular meeting. Everybody is here except we've lost our town administrator for the moment, but he'll be back. So we'll skip right to the Pledge of Allegiance. And why don't we have Superintendent Shaver Hood lead us in the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next up, we have announcements.
That's one of my pen here.
Selectman Tropiano, anything to announce?
No announcements.
Selectman Scasiotti?
No announcements, sir.
Selectman Whiteside?
What happened to my pen?
I don't know.
Yes, I have announcements. I just want to remind you all that it is sign up for your library card month. There's a raffle. If you get a new library card that is available either at Spinney or at the main library, $50 gift certificates. It's the best free deal in town. It enables you to travel the world. Let's see. The beach cleanup at Little Harbor, which is sponsored by Coast Sweep, is this Saturday from 10 to 12. That's also a free event. You get to pick up everybody else's junk. We weigh it, we measure it, we count it, and then we report it to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which then puts out a report that is really sort of scary. CORE, which is the group rebuilding the Lopes Playground, is selling pickets with individual names on them for $40 a piece. CORE has a website, Wareham CORE, just type it in. We also have they also have a Facebook page. There's a lot of information there. There are 500 pickets to be sold. We've already sold 100 of them. So if you want to give it the gift that will give for 30 years or so, you might want to print one of those off or pick one up at one of the places they're available at the libraries. Remind you that last week I announced that Head Start was looking for readers for 11 sessions of an hour apiece. You would be paired with a child and read with him or her. The books will be provided by the program. You don't get paid in money, but I got to tell you that reading to kids is a lot of fun. At least I think it is. And they're looking for male volunteers.
Yeah, you especially.
I've done it.
You have such a commanding voice, Alan. I'm sure you'd be great.
Anyway, and also, let's see, we have the Wareham Historical Society is having a golf tournament September 30th at Little Harbor Country Club, Little Harbor Road. Golfers and sponsors are being sought for this fundraiser, which will provide scholarship money for Wareham students who will pursue a degree in the field of history education. All are welcome to play. It will be a scramble format with shotgun start at 8:30. If you play golf, you know what that means. All registrations are due by Saturday, September 16th, 2017, by cash or check only. Please make out all checks to the Wareham Historical Society. Fee is $100 per golfer, which includes lunch and prizes. Golf carts are not included, and you must call Little Harbor Country Club at 508-295-2617. Please make sure that you call the right number, because I don't want to answer it, to reserve a cart. Little Harbor is a small par 3 course, which is very walkable. It's a really fun course. Any information, call Angie Dunham at 295-8578. I believe that's it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I did.
Jewish holidays. We only got one thing tonight. We've had a couple hurricanes do some severe damage, but in the meantime, between that, 9/11 seems to have kind of been lost in the shuffle. We lost over 3,000 people who worked at the buildings, first responders, a lot of fire and police died there, and I'd like a moment of silence for those people. Thank you. That's it for me.
Yeah, I just have a couple of things. The Cape Cod Canal Region Chamber of Commerce, once again, is having the Scallop Festival. This is the 48th year they've been doing it. And it opens on Friday, September 22nd at the Cape Cod Fairgrounds, which are off of 151 in East Falmouth, at 1 o'clock, and it continues through the weekend. You should go to the Cape Cod Canal Region Chamber's website or their Facebook page, and they will have more detail about individual events. And yeah, just to piggyback on you know, the whole hurricane thing, I was actually in Cayman Islands last week and changed my flight on Tuesday because I didn't see going through Miami on Saturday, and I lucked out and got through Charlotte on Sunday. The amount of damage this did in Florida is staggering, and it's amazing to me that these things only pop up in our consciousness when we see them on TV. We live in a coastal community. It's the community that's been deemed by the National Weather Service to be the most vulnerable in the entire state. So while we probably won't get a Category 5 storm here because the water isn't warm enough, a Category 3 storm is possible. It could do an incredible amount of damage. So one of the things that should always be in the back of our minds is, you know, what to do when it hits, to prepare to have food, to prepare to be without electricity for weeks at a time, because these things can all happen here too. So that was kind of brought to mind this past week. And the other thing, to echo the 9/11 remembrances, it was nice to go through town and see a couple of things I noticed in front of the Masonic Lodge. There were thousands of flags placed out there, one for each of the people who lost their lives. And I know the consignment shop on Main Street had a flag up and a never forget sign as well. And there are other signs around town, too numerous to really mention them all. But it was nice that people do remember this, because I think it has kind of escaped us a little bit. But some people out there still take note of it. And that's it for announcements. Citizens' comments. Is there anybody who'd like to address the board tonight?
I just would like to correct what you just said. The
On
purple
what?
flags in front of the Masonic Lodge are in honor of opioid victims.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, so
I know that.
I don't...
I saw 1,000, so it's, well,
Yeah,
that's...
no, it is several thousand, and they were put out there by Melody Conway, whose son died of
Okay, well, thank you for
overdose.
correcting that.
Okay.
And that's an additional
I apologize.
sad commentary as well, that
Sorry.
There's
The
been
other
so many
thing is,
people
Jerry,
lost their
where are
lives.
you, and how come we haven't heard from you? And somebody from Jerry's family, please let us know that he's okay.
Jerry was here last week,
But he left
but
right
he
away.
never came in. He was in the car and they decided
No,
to go.
he was here.
I'll follow up and find out what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, so nobody here to speak to the board tonight. No appointments, interviews, reappointments, licenses and permits.
No.
We're gonna have to skip the hearing. Why don't we do the application from Paul Rose for a one-day liquor license? Get that out of the way.
Yeah, okay.
We have a request from Paul Rose for Gibbs Ballpark Road, Onset, for a fundraiser for diabetes on September 17th, rain day September 24th, Onset VFW Pavilion, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Name of the person in charge is Andre Drakes and Company. And again, they already know they keep the liquor separate from the actual lodge itself.
Right.
Second.
Oops.
Okay, motion to approve the application by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. We can, how about we, why don't we accept the donation for the Wareham Free Library? Why don't you come on up? And if you'll be so kind as to introduce yourselves for the record.
So I'm Carrie Mello, and actually, I'd like to introduce Liz Wiley, who's the new president of the Library Foundation.
Ah,
I'm going to be the vice president, so she kindly agreed to take over that job.
great. Thank you for stepping up. So, what are you giving us?
So this year, as always, we try to be generous to make sure that our library can sustain itself. So we recently voted to give the town $23,000. There's a few different gifts here, so $23,000 to help support the director's salary, and we really feel that that's kind of an invaluable thing that we're happy that, you know, we all work together to sort of make that happen. He's made a huge difference in the library. We're donating an additional $5,000 for books and materials, and then an additional $4,600 to replenish the library gift account. Mr. Sullivan last year helped us secure a donation, so this is from a local solar company, and this is giving back some of that money that came into the foundation. So those are the three gifts that we would like to present.
And those are from the foundation?
Yes.
Thank you.
From the, I apologize here, from the library foundation.
Move to accept the generous donations.
Second.
Okay, motion to accept the 3 donations by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you very much for all your work and
Very much, by
generosity.
the way.
If I could just bring up one thing, we're having a
Oh, yes.
fundraiser, the annual play that we present every year, October 20th, at the Redmond Hall. So
Yeah, I know all about it.
I think you're
Yeah.
on the stars. And
I've already gotten an advance copy of the script.
we don't have our director this year, but we're hoping she'll.
Nice play. Nice,
I might go watch, because it's really fun to watch Peter Teitelbaum make a complete idiot out of himself. Dressed like an idiot, acts like an idiot, talks like an idiot. Guess what?
This script doesn't allow a lot of opportunity for that on his face, but I'm sure I can find some wiggle room.
I'm sure that you will.
It's always improv,
Right.
right?
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we can come back to the hearing at 7:15 on the renewal application of Shellfish Grant number W85 for Benjamin A. Suttard and Benjamin C. Suttard. Can I have a motion to open the hearing, please?
So moved.
second.
Okay, roll call vote. Selectman
Yes.
Tropiano? Selectman
Yes.
Scasiotti? Selectman Whiteside?
Yes.
Clerk Slavin?
Yes.
Titlebaum, yes. Okay, the hearing is now open.
Grow some of the best oysters in Wareham. That's from somebody who really doesn't like them.
It's quite the endorsement. You have the paperwork there?
Yep, so everything's in place.
Everything's in order, and this is just simply a renewal?
Why don't you ask them to introduce themselves?
Yeah. If you both introduce yourselves, for the record.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You introduce yourself. Yeah.
Pull the mic.
Benjamin A. Sutter, Grand Holder.
And Benjamin C. Suttard, another grant holder.
Okay. Co-grant holders.
It's a renewal.
Moved second.
It's a 10-year renewal.
Second.
May, if I can address
Yeah, please.
the selectmen?
Yeah, tell us about it.
On the application that we submitted, we also requested to add the name of my son, Benjamin W. Suttard, so that we can pass our heritage along.
Just the two.
Well, but that's only, we can put your son in as well. That's not a problem.
Just the two in the hearing.
So it's a renewal with an addition? So we'll need an addition to the motion to add the,
Well, we
The
got to
grandson,
close
I
the
guess?
hearing first.
Question, Town
Yes.
Council?
we don't have to close the hearing, but
Just a question. Rich, the notice of public hearing only has the two names, doesn't have the third. Is that an issue or not? Hate to ask.
it's kind of a mixed application, if you will.
Yeah, a strict interpretation of it would be that unless all the names were listed in the notice, that you couldn't
False notice.
do it right now. Well, it's not that it's a false notice, it's just it didn't describe everything.
It's not a complete notice.
Yeah.
Whichever
And-
word you want to use.
Yeah, it's highly, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, it's highly unlikely that anybody would come along and challenge the addition.
Yes, I understand.
You know, if the
What we could
board
do
wanted
is
to run that risk,
we could vote the renewal and then
amend it,
amend at a future meeting with notice.
that would work.
Okay.
That
Is that
would,
acceptable to you?
That's acceptable to us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so why don't we just cover the renewal tonight, and then they can amend the application to add the third name later.
Okay. Make a
So,
motion.
anything else for these gentlemen?
No.
Is there anybody here to speak in favor of renewal of the grant? Is there anybody opposed to the renewal of the grant?
Move we close the hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion to close by Selectman Tropiano, seconded by Selectman Whiteside.
Yes.
Roll call vote, Selectman Tropiano, Selectman Scasiotti,
Yes.
Yes.
Selectman Whiteside, Clerk Slavin.
Yes.
Titlebaum, yes. Okay, the hearing is closed, 500.
Motion to approve the renewal of grant number W85 to Benjamin A. Sutton and Benjamin C. Sutton of Wareham.
Second.
Okay, motion to renew by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. And
So, could you explain to Mr. Sutter?
you'll need to just pick up another application to amend,
Very good.
and then we'll go from there.
That was Benjamin W.
That's
W.
Benjamin W., yes.
Yeah, speak with Janet in our office, and she'll help you with that.
Thank you very much.
Great, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm glad
Nice
you're
to
adding
see
another
you.
generation.
Thank you.
Say we're doing our best to keep it in the family.
Yes,
Good.
are.
You are. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's a nice grant, by the way. Do a
It
nice
is,
job
yeah,
with
it's
it.
a beautiful one.
You got it.
This is why we heard the Whiteside testimonial on the oysters.
Well, as you can see, they've been around more than a couple of years.
I guess so.
Um,
As have you. Let's see, town business.
Ooh, did you guys hear that?
Yeah, we heard that one.
He slammed me.
Yeah. No, I just stated a fact, I thought. Next up, town business, presentation by school department on the new adult education programs. Good evening.
Hello.
Okay, if you'll just identify yourselves, even though everybody knows who you are.
Judy Capriccio, Chairman of the Wareham School Committee.
Kim Shaver-Hood, Superintendent.
Okay, so you're here to tell us about the new adult education programs.
The proposed adult education programs, we hope there'll be new adult education programs. We think that Wareham's a perfect spot to have these programs because there's no place around here that offers college courses like for Wareham residents or the surrounding communities. So we would like to open up our schools to more people, adults, more than just the school children, so this was a good opportunity to do this if we find that there's interest in it. So therefore, we have developed a couple of surveys for two different programs, and one of them is for college credit. We'd like to partner with a university, become a satellite school, and we to give people the opportunity to take introductory courses for college credit, and then we would also like to have adult education courses according to people's interests. Would you like to talk about the adult part?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have surveys, if you go to our website, you can look and click on, it's a Survey Monkey. We're asking if you have interest in computer technology, nutrition, health, wellness, foreign language for travelers, arts and crafts. If there's anything of interest that you would like to see the school offer an opportunity to take a class, please list it. As far as the college courses, again, the survey is there. We're interested in what areas of the, would you like some courses? It takes less than a minute on those surveys, but this would give us the necessary information we need to move ahead.
And we're also would like to see if you wanted to suggest courses that we have too, according to your interest, or if there are people in the community or surrounding communities who would like to teach a course, we'd like to know that too. And we're asking questions about what hours are good, is Saturday good? So, Judy, you gonna come teach one?
You wouldn't like my style of management.
I'm sure you have some interesting topics.
I'm sure she has an interesting style.
I do.
So we're hoping that you answered the surveys and by September 30th, so we would know where we stood, and then we could go about exploring our opportunities for our community.
Actually, if you could, one of you could email I guess Janet Wilson of our office, which is jwilson@wareham.ma.us, just a short blurb. She will include it in the announcements packet every week so that we can announce it right through the end of the month.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's pretty much the same people who watch us when they do watch us, but you never know.
Okay.
Okay. Any
Thank you.
questions? Judy?
Have you thought about, like an EMT certification program, that kind of a thing?
Absolutely, that was one of the subjects we were talking about.
Okay. There are opportunities in other communities for college credit courses. The beauty of what you're suggesting is that it's right here. We are serviced by GATRA or, lots of different ways. It's easier to go down the street than it is to go, as the crow flies, it's 5 miles, it's 15 minutes and half an hour to get there. So it's a really good opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan?
Derek and I were at Bridgewater State University about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now? Something like that. When you have time, sit and talk to Derek a little bit. Mr. Clark was pretty informative about what potential there may be for you.
Yeah, you and I need to have another talk.
Yes,
It'll be
ma'am.
great. We're going to bring as much to Wareham as we can.
Great.
We'll do some more bicycle tours.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see, next up, report from the Veterans Council on the moving wall. So if you folks will come forward, please.
Nope, I'm good.
Good evening. If you'll all introduce yourselves.
Not again. I'm Skip Sarnelli, the Vice Chairman of the Wareham Veterans Council.
Angela Dunham, Exhibit Coordinator for the Vietnam Veterans Moving Wall.
Jean Sanelli, President of the Friends of the Wareham Veterans Council.
Julio Roderick, member of the Veterans Council.
Okay, so please report.
As you all know, the 17th to 22nd of August, we held our event, The Moving Wall, which came to Wareham off of Viking Drive. From the feedback, it was very successful. Approximately, we had 25,000 people.
Nice.
Approximately a little more because there were other entrances that they used to get in on the side, and the double gates that were used with the golf carts to help handicapped people get in. Some of those got miscounted or did not get counted correctly with the flow. That's why we had the welcome tent there so they could come in there and besides the count, look at the events that was going on, and we're being told what the other tents were for. And the very successful Artifacts tent was extremely successful. It had lines backed up quite a bit. There wasn't many breaks along the wall walkway. And the ceremonies were attended by a lot of people. The speeches were fantastic by all the individuals who gave them. So right now, we haven't had any closure meetings. There's a lot of people to thank, which we're in the process of doing. I'm going to let Angela take it over from there.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't think that it would be an exaggeration to say that it was a remarkable event, that everyone on the team worked very hard. That expression, "it takes a village," it certainly took a village. And I don't want to take credit for what the veterans themselves did. It was a bit of a bumpy road getting started to make the connections to the 7 communities that took part. However, the veterans themselves, Vietnam veterans themselves, brought in their own memorabilia, and they set up their own displays. And I could not be prouder of those people. There were many people that came and went that I call my honor guard to make sure that the items were secured. The veteran agent from Carver brought a state-level veterans agent down to the site, and he said that it was the 7th Vietnam Moving Wall event that he has participated or visited in the state, and he said that ours was the best. So I want each and every one that took part in that, and it was a very large number of volunteers, to take pride in the fact that they made it a very dignified and respectful memorial to those who, as the display said, all gave some, but some gave all. The flyover and the Huey helicopter, Bill Witkowski, who came in with Hero Stars, the Blue Star Mothers, all of these folks contributed. The workers who were in the research tent who helped people find the names on the wall. It was just a remarkable experience. I have I'm not going to read them all to you, but just page after page. All of these are pages of visitors, every page filled of visitors who came through. Veterans agents helped make connections for me to veterans in the area. I cannot begin to thank them enough. So, again, I'm very proud to have been part of this team, and I'll give it to Jean.
Thank you.
We were blown away by the support we got from the town of Wareham and surrounding towns in their contributions, in their support, because last August, September, when the Friends were created, it was like being on the sidewalk and looking at the tallest building in the world. We thought, oh my God, are we going to be able to do this? And we did it. As of the week after the wall, we raised $50,000. And we still can't believe it. We're still waiting to hear from the state. That total is not included in the grant. Since the wall closed, we received a grant from Ocean Spray, which was a wonderful surprise. I am so proud of the team that brought this wall to our community. I'm so proud of the board of directors of the Friends. They worked very hard to try to get the monies that we needed. All 4 to 5 days of the wall, whenever there was a monetary request, we were able to meet it. And it made everything run smoothly. And again, we thank you. We thank you for your support. And we thank the town for being there for us, because it was a wonderful turnout.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say we had tremendous support from the public, and the wall come out a lot smoother and ran than we thought it would. And we just appreciate all the hard work we did, and we're just glad everybody enjoyed it. We don't know what we're going to do to top it, but we'll think of something. Okay,
Any
thank you.
questions for us?
Thank you all very much.
Oh, I went and I enjoyed the heck out of it. I went in the tent of memorabilia. That was kind of a fun spot for me. And I was lucky because I went at night, and it was a little quiet, and there was a few people in there, but I was lucky because I got the private tour as well from Angela, who seemed to know everything that was going on from Angie, so it was really kind of neat. My wife and I, we went, we just loved it, and we really appreciate what you guys did for the community, and you got all my respect. Very nice job.
Other comments?
This was a very special event for the town. Thank you.
One thing further that I had to mention, and I forgot, that the plaque that we received here, I believe that we had talked that we like to put that down where all the names are on the wall, where the elevator is.
Mr. Sullivan,
Sure.
I'm sure we'll let you do that, but he's in charge of the building.
You know, we figured that'd be the best place for it.
Yeah, and there's some talk for, as well for Afghanistan, for putting up plaques, so we're going to think about where we'd place it to make sure we can continue honoring people.
I'm sure Miss Whiteside can find something to put them up with.
And she'll find someone.
Somewhat, well,
And somebody to go along with it.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, we'd absolutely, we'd be honored to have it in Town Hall, obviously, and so.
I mean,
thank-
the letter, outstanding as it may, I mean, everybody should see what you wrote to the council, and I figured that was the best spot it could go, because a lot of people come into Town Hall, and it's right across from the hall gathering, elevator, and
Yep.
unless you think of another place.
No, not at this time. Although we did at one time want to put a parking lot in front of Town Hall so we could have people utilize that entrance, but that was killed by some people.
That would have been your worst mistake.
Some might disagree.
Okay, well, I don't think that's on the agenda tonight, so,
Try that again.
I just want to say thank you. You all know exactly what I feel like. Thank you.
thank you all. We appreciate your work and your report. Okay, next we have vote to submit a letter to the Mass DEP to participate in the Municipal Assistance Grants Program.
Mr. Sullivan, you have that?
It's right here.
Yeah, if you just tell us what you're looking for here?
Yeah, we're just looking for the selectmen to sign off on it. It's the same one we've done before. You should have received in the packet. I asked Mr. Bichette to put it in there. Is it in the packet?
Yes.
Judy's shaking her head yes.
Yeah.
In that packet, we don't...
Is it for the board, or is it a vote to authorize?
It's for, they wanted the board to sign off
Okay.
on it. It's just for,
Just make it available in the office then?
It's, yeah, I'll make the motion that the board sign the letter.
Yeah, it just never
Yeah.
got into...
Second.
And the letter is directed to Frederick Sivian, Stormwater Coordinator, Massachusetts DEP, Winter Street, Boston, Mass.
Okay, motion by Selectman Whiteside,
Second.
seconded by Clerk Slavin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500, so we just need to sign that. You'll let us know when it's available for us?
it should have that should be the whole signature in your packet to be able to sign
Yeah,
it.
we have in the packet. Janet has the actual paper copy.
You know,
So we'll go into the office and do it.
Don't you have the letter?
should,
Yeah, check, while you're doing that, I'll just, well, actually, I'll leave.
I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy this time?
Nope.
Been crazy before, so.
I understand that.
You think he's not crazy this time?
Okay.
tells you the amount of
That's all right, we'll stop by the office, take care of it.
It's pretty wild.
Let's see, next up, vote to accept performance bond for the Eversource Solar Farm project on Seth Toby Road.
Before we do that, we need to talk about this because bonds should be accepted before construction starts, and we need to get a handle on that. They've already started out there, they're cleaning the site, and they're doing their things, and the bond should have been accepted prior to any work commencing. It doesn't do you any good to have a bond no bond in hand once the work commences. So somehow we have to catch that somehow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a crazy charter issue where the Board of Selectmen accept the bonds.
Right, I know it's crazy, but
it's
somehow we've got
kind
to
of
get it before they start, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's one of those things that we've created a level of bureaucracy where it's holding everything back. We're looking to put together a schedule for these as well that the Board of Selectmen can access, so you can see what's coming up and our staff and such. I mean, it's It's one of our unique features we have
It's
right
just,
now.
it's always been one of my thing. We've always had some issues with bonds in this town.
Yeah, not kidding.
Where we've released them, and we released, bonds have been released that we didn't even know were released. Some didn't get accepted. I mean, there was all kinds of craziness. So it's just kind of one of my pet peeves, that, you know, these things need to be up and in place and held on to pretty tightly until
Till the work is
all
done.
is done. you
Yeah.
know?
There's a difference between, there was a time where bonds were released by employees when they
Yeah,
couldn't do it and such.
it was
so.
crazy, you know?
Sometimes without inspection.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes, you know, we've had times when they went back out afterwards, and, you know, in order to release a road bond, for instance, the paving has to be down for a year in order to make sure that there's not going to be any issues and so on. And plenty of times they've released it. It's gone, and all of a sudden, you know, we've got cracks in the road and people complaining and everything else. So, and it's not I'm not blaming your guys or anybody. This has nothing to do with, you know, dumping on us. It's just that it's just been a problem over the years. And matter of fact, I don't think you were even here at the time when these kinds of things were going on, but we've got to kind of keep a real good eye on these things, you know?
Yep.
You want to go first?
Oh, no, you go right ahead, because I'm going to say ditto.
Okay.
Okay, you already did, so we're done with that. Alan?
This actually came up at the State House today, the Massachusetts Selectmen's Association, that it seems that it's not uncommon for Board of Selectmen not to be notified of projects ongoing at the Planning Board, ZBA, et cetera, which I guess they, at least what they told me today, is it's in the state laws that we're supposed to, as a board, be notified and have information on all projects, not just after the fact, which was interesting because I didn't realize that was the case, because I told them we never do that. But they said, no, you're supposed to be doing that. So that was pretty good. This particular project here, we've all probably received some kind of phone call asking, I believe the words are, what the hell's going on Toby Road? Someone's virtually wiped the whole place out. I made a comment with the planning board last night that I thought that was a very poor use of that piece of property with the value of what it could be for the town. And there's no buffer anywhere. That place is clean from one end to the other. There's not a living thing standing anywhere. And what happened on this one, which really bothers me a lot, again, because our system is kind of not smooth at all, the ZBA has control of the site plan because it's industrial and the use requires a special permit, which is fine. But what the ZBA normally does, and it got missed this time and probably before, they're supposed to contact the planning board, and the planning board is supposed to get a copy of the project and then basically submit their recommendations, which are supposed to be included in the conditions, et cetera, of any project that the ZBA works on. This project never went to the planning board at all. I'm not complaining about anybody doing something wrong, it just didn't happen. So when we sit there and people ask us what's going on, it's pretty embarrassing when you have to say, what project? Now, this is an Eversource project, which the actual utility is doing this on their own, for their own benefit, but the bottom line to this is that I have a different thought process in all these bonds and everything. I went through the bond. It doesn't really give notification to the town if for some reason the bond gets canceled or whatever else. I have a simple philosophy. Cash is king. Someone wants to give us a bond, I want cash. I can deal with cash easy, control it. I can't control a bond.
You know, that is interesting, because I did get the same calls, quite a few, numerous in fact, about, you know, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And when I heard it was a solar field, I was a little taken back, because basically they strip it from edge to edge, and basically it's going to be a fence all the way around it.
Yeah,
So it'll just be this fenced-in, you know, thing to look at. And that's sort of right back up to all the Bliss property there, and you know, that's like, we're running out of commercial as it is, and it just seems like it could have had a better use. I agree.
Interestingly enough, we have a solar bylaw coming forward.
We do.
Shocking.
Yeah,
But the solar bylaw would not have an effect if it still isn't a spot required a special permit.
yeah, well, there has to be a little better coordination, you know.
All right,
so.
and there's something we've talked about setbacks on them as well. There's actually, really the only person that could have stopped this would have been the owners of that property saying no.
Right.
He wasn't going to do that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's one of the problems we all know, is that if you can do it, they meet the requirements, you gotta let them do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, that's a problem, and, you know, as much as we feel bad about it, we're kind of stuck with it. But I totally agree with Alan, though, that we have to make sure that we're a little better on our internal stuff.
Yep. Any other comments, Selectman Whiteside, other than ditto?
I would echo really specifically the portion about the bonds. We've talked about them before. They could come and go tomorrow, and we would not be notified in a timely fashion. Cash is king. You can control it, having it where you can see it, feel it, touch it at any time. All of the comments about this was a surprise to all of us are probably true.
Well, it's embarrassing.
Embarrassing, and I think one of the things that Mr. Sullivan has accomplished with his hires, and I include, I think, 5 people in that group as department heads, is that he has really instilled in the employees of this town the need to communicate better and communicate with each other, not only just, you know, top up, top down, but to really function as an integral body. And I compliment him on the progress that he's made. Unfortunately, some of these things have been on the skids for a while.
And I think Mr. Slavens was telling you about the boards speaking to one another.
Yes. It's been a problem forever.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, just so everybody knows, and I understand, believe me, nobody likes to get their grubby little mitts on cash more than me, but, you know, this bond is in the amount of $418,363. So.
Nobody's putting up cash for that kind of money.
They wouldn't.
No, you're gonna get surety for
What
that.
we can do is we could decide on the term,
Correct.
the length of time that they have to keep that bond. And maybe we need to push them out a little bit so that we get a longer term, and that way they don't just expire, you know, when whatever, you know what I mean? Because a lot of guys will do this year to year, and at the end of the year, of course, they don't pay the bill, and they don't get the bond renewed, you know, it kind of goes away.
What's the term on this one?
It basically is in effect from August 11th, 2017, shall remain in full force for a period of 1 year.
Yeah, see, that's a 1-year bond. You can get a 5-year bond without any problem whatsoever, and at least that covers a decent amount of time period. You know, you have to pay for these things up front, so, you know, they're paid, and then you know you have it. You know, and maybe we ought to talk about making the terms longer.
Right, and as far as, and we're of the same mindset. A location like that, while we will get personal property taxes out of it,
Right.
you know, but we wanted that site to be part of the 43D process, to have that. Actually, we thought that was really a prime location to bring business in. You have Smithers Viciant right there. I mean, if you're an anti-traffic person, it's the perfect thing. If you don't care about traffic and you want jobs for the community, that hasn't been the best one. So, unfortunately, you know, we're now going to see these solar farms are. We have a lot of them in town, and there's a lot more that want to come. We have a lot of land available in this community, so we need to see what we're going to do. I, as a residential homeowner, would not want to have my property line, and then essentially you're seeing a whole solar field. We've had a gentleman say he loves it because he knows he'll never have neighbors back there, but. Yeah, that's a privacy
You can't see
thing.
the whole thing. I mean, they're required by law to fence it all in.
Right.
Because, you know, it's high voltage from all, each one of them is about 300 watts, and they're chained together, and it's DC power, by the way,
Yeah.
direct current. And you touch that, man, you're gonna fry like you never fried.
Yeah.
But-
It's
so they
not
have
a
to be
shock.
fenced in. But again, they are not the prettiest things in the whole world
Yeah.
either.
Mr. Titleman, Point of order here, this bond is actually written for Conti Enterprises, not Eversource Solar Farm project. It's only for the landscaping, project description, landscaping sidewalk and berm along road.
Well, that's what that,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be for,
It's
I
not for the whole
understand, but
thing.
I'm not convinced
I think Conti is the actual contractor that's doing.
for the whole thing.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, do we want to hold off on this and see if we can get a longer term?
Yes.
I don't see why not. I mean,
Can I make one other comment? I'm not sure if everybody's up to date. Eversource has filed for some rate changes,
They sure have.
Huge.
but they've also filed for some changes to local municipalities on their, what we call their solar credits, which, because of what they're proposing, will reduce, I think I sent Derek a note today, will actually reduce the value of the solar credits that we have now that we use. I don't consider them a warm, fuzzy person, you know, in what they're doing and how they're doing it. And they're going to probably affect our revenue. They're going to increase the costs of our residents, you know, et cetera. And I'm going to vote no for a bond. I'm going to ask for cash. I don't expect anybody else to go along with me, but we have the right, as of right now, to basically demand the terms we want for a surety deposit. It can be any way we want at this point. I believe we have an article for fall town meeting that puts it back in the planning board, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that a motion?
No, I'm just
I think we do have
making a
that,
comment.
don't
I believe we were supposed to have an article, a placeholder for that, I thought, because we had discussed that the Board of Selectmen has to approve any bond that's being released or anything.
I think that one got held off on.
Get held off on?
Yeah.
Well, then we'll see it in the spring, but that's, you know.
Yeah. Why don't we just table this until next week? Talk about a longer term, talk about cash. You know, I understand the concerns with Eversource. You know, ever since they decided to ask for about an 8% rate increase in transmission charges, they've been under the gun from a lot of people. And their conduct going forward doesn't show a lot of, as you say, warm fuzzy. But that's not necessarily a reason to deny them the bond here. But I do think we're well within our rights to ask for a longer term.
I'm not sure we want to deny the bond. We want to get the money. Yeah, I mean,
Well, we
because
do.
We want to protect our.
We want to protect, but I think for a longer
Especially if
term.
the permit's already been issued, which obviously it has.
But the
Right.
term is important.
Yep.
Well, just
Quicker we get it online, the best.
Just as an aside from their financial statement, I guess actually that's Travelers, I'm sorry.
That's travelers.
Too bad, because that's got $722 million in cash alone.
Right. No, that's
Too bad
travelers.
about that. I'm sure Eversource is up in that range too, though.
Well, why don't we ask Mr. Sullivan to check with Mr. Buckland and go back at them and see if we can get something longer? Or the board's pleasure is for 5 years? I don't take a vote, but
You know,
is that a
you know,
consensus?
the funny part is that we're talking about this, and we're talking about solar sites. Solar sites go up very quickly and are finished very quickly. Usually within about 4 to 6 months, they're done.
Yeah.
Gone and out of there. So in this particular case, it's probably not that serious about how long the length is, but it should be a policy somewhere down the road in general, is what I'm thinking.
And it's, and you're right, they go up extremely fast. The landscaping could take a little while longer, as, you know, just double checking, making sure whatever they put on tree buffers is taken. If you look out there, you'll see a lot of giant things, packages and such. Guess what those are, folks? They're ready to,
Yeah.
they're ready to go.
The panels,
Oh, yeah, they go fast.
What they do, these organizations, of course, Eversource is a little different, they pre-sell the megawatts. And that's how they get their financing, because they can show they have it all sold. And the state with the programs and stuff, they get their money up front almost immediately, but they get the money as soon as the project is done. The money's there, and what normally happens is, in this case, I don't think it's gonna happen, they will sell the project to someone else to run it and maintain it, get profit, and then they move on to the next one. That's how the business model is. In this particular case here, it's a little different. But again, you know, it's, we have a project, and I hate to pick on anybody, but the project on Hathaway, the particular company that did that one, they went in and they did things they weren't supposed to do. they didn't put the barriers up and stuff around the...
We heard about it from the neighbors.
Well,
Yeah,
we heard about neighbors, but they also did not, they basically did not put the barriers up around there, and they cleared more, and we have ongoing issues there, and I don't know what the status is of how much money we have holding for them, but we've been having a lot of trouble. That's just, and they may be the exception to the rule. I'm not sure Eversource will be as careless as this last one was.
Yeah, this one was, they started working much earlier in the day than what was supposed to be on there. They rode right over that hill, or the, sort of the centerpiece there, drove the big tractor trailer trucks right over there. We did, they did get back in line on these, and, I won't say that the residents at Little Road and such were by any means happy, because you can't undo once somebody starts doing those types of things.
We still have issues with them,
Yeah.
but just, it's just my personal feeling.
Okay, well, they'll put it on the agenda next week pending our request/demand for a 5-year bond.
I don't think you need more than a 2-year
I think
bond.
2 is fine.
Well, what do we want to do here?
I mean, they'll be in and out in 2 years.
Can the issues manifest after that?
Within 2 years, because someone else is going to have it anyways.
So ask for a 2-year note?
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fine.
I would go with 2.
Yeah, in this kind of project, that's probably more than enough time.
All right.
It's not like a road project where you're worried about the paving. I mean, I know of a road recently that,
Discuss it down with Buckland.
there was a road that I was involved in Sagamore, and believe it or not, it just got its finished top put on it. The road was built like 15 years ago. The base coat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, why don't we just have to ask Mr. Sullivan to check with Director Buckland and get back to them and say the board wants to.
I think Derek would like the money in hundreds.
Well, that'll be a question for another day, the form of payment.
I don't look good in orange, not worth it.
Okay, next up, authorization for CEDAR expenditures.
This is, so through what's happened with creating essentially the new redevelopment authority that's was up on the State House today, the Board of Selectmen are now essentially the authority. And in speaking with the town accountant, she's asked that the CEDAR board had issued that the CEDAR director was allowed to expend up to $5,000 and that they can sign off on the bills. So that's the authorization that we're seeking. And we could actually, I don't want to put anything else on him, but everybody might feel more comfortable if we give the Planning Community Development Director, Mr. Buckland, that authority, up to $5,000 for the bills and to approve the purchases.
I think that's fine.
Motion to
Make
approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to authorize the CEDAR expenditures by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. I guess this might be a good time for me to just jump in and say, I did find out yesterday that somebody, anyway, needed to go up to Beacon Hill to testify in support of 2 bills we have up there coming out of Springtown meeting. One was to amend the charter so that articles are placed on the warrant, other than petition articles, by a majority vote of the Board of Selectmen to square away the discrepancy between the charter and the state law. And the other one was to advocate for the Wareham Redevelopment Authority article. And they were receptive to the testimony I was able to provide, so I'm hopeful that with the support of both of our elected representatives to the State House, that we can get this through.
Yeah, my understanding was there should be no issue.
Yeah.
One never knows.
Yeah, one never knows. I did explain to him that Wareham was different, that we had a spring election where 7 incumbents and 2 newcomers ran. Nobody was opposed. And I said, look, if we tried to do it the way you guys want us to do it under Chapter 121B, we could actually have an election and have nobody run. And they all laughed at that. But it's actually true. The state process for a redevelopment authority requires 3 to be elected, a housing authority member to be appointed, and then a 5th person to be appointed by the Board of Selectmen. So I think they heard me when I said that you know, it was more likely apathy than such a great job we were doing, but nonetheless, we would have a hard time scrounging up candidates. So that's that. Discussion and possible vote on town meeting warrant articles. Is there anything else anybody wishes to introduce to the warrant at this time? I don't think there is.
No. Are we going to go over them?
No, not tonight. A lot of these articles, we might want to meet with the Finance Committee, to the extent that petitioners are going to come in and talk about them, to both bodies, one-stop shopping. So I'll talk with Mr. Pigeon and get going on possibly a joint meeting.
Okay, may I? There were originally 3 articles submitted by the cemetery commissioners. They met on Monday, and they have voted to support the 2. One of Mr. Bowen, myself, and Madam Moderator met on Thursday and went over the how good is this motion kind of thing, or how good is this article? And we scrunched 2 of them together. The cemetery commissioners voted to support that. It has to do with the rules and regulations. It does not have to do with anything else. It originally was to get rid of the old ones, and then it was to adopt new ones. It was 2 separate articles. It is now 1.
Well, we voted, what, the 3 on, so now you're down to 2, so we should probably do just a confirmatory.
Yes.
Get a confirmatory motion to authorize the reduction of 3 down to 2. If somebody wants to make it in that fashion, I think that'll cover it. You did? Okay. Motion made by Selectman Whiteside, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain.
Thank you.
So that clears that up, so nobody can challenge the legality of those going on.
Rich has a...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just very quickly, with respect to Article 14, I've worked with Ms. Wilson, and we've made a minor technical adjustment to that article to reflect a filing in the office of the town clerk, and that has been achieved as of this evening.
Motion to accept the modification of the article going
Second.
forward.
Motion by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. 500 for that minor change.
Move to close.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to close the town meeting warrant, so it's etched in stone at this point.
Yep.
Nothing else from anybody on the warrant?
I have one question of Mr.
Well, if we're discussing changes, we should do it over the microphones.
Scribner's error?
No issue?
No.
Okay. All right, we have a motion from Selectman Tropiano, seconded by
Me.
Selectman Whiteside to close the warrant. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Let's see, review town meeting due dates.
I think we did that last time.
Yeah, I think we did.
We did.
Yeah, we don't like them.
Already done it.
So that's the response on that. And it's kind of funny, one of the things, I got a call before I went away from the legislative aide to the Joint Committee on Government saying, well, what are you changing the deadlines here? And I said, no, we're not. I said, all we're doing is changing who gets to put what on the warrant. He goes, oh, okay, I thought you were changing the timelines. So I was almost half tempted when I was up there to say, expect to see me back in sometime next year talking about this as well, because this 45-day thing is for the birds. But we've got to adopt a more, we've got to look at a global approach. We've got to see what we've got in our bylaws. We've got to see what's in the charter. We've got to see what state law requires. And we've got to match it all up, because we're probably going to have to go back and make some other changes as well if we fool around with that. So,
We're going to meld it in with the Finance Committee.
yeah, exactly. And the Finance Committee needs to be involved too, because they have to get these things in adequate time to at least have some thoughts about them. Let's see. We have one request to approve signs on town property for the Light the Unity Festival to be held on Sunday, October 22nd, 2017. Where are they going?
Let's see, the mailing address is Buzzards Bay. It's part of Wareham, probably. It's on Prospect Park in Onset, October 22nd, near gazebo between trees and in grassy area in and around Onset.
I have two questions.
Yep, go ahead.
I don't know who this group is, I don't remember us ever giving them anything in the past, but do they have permission to use Prospect Park? Have they come in and asked even to use it?
This is just what signs up.
Do we know
Yeah.
who this is?
Let me,
They came in and got the form and everything for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a request to put signs up. I don't know where their festival is.
the event location, it says
Event
Prospect.
location.
Oh, it does,
Prospect
event
Park owns it.
location. That's kind of weird.
That's a request for signs. There should be another piece of the puzzle, which is...
Yeah, we should have one because that would come under myself or,
Yeah, that comes under you.
Well, why don't we approve and hold pending
Yes,
his approval?
Town
Yes.
approval.
We have a motion to that effect?
yes.
Yeah,
So
all right.
moved.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve and hold by Selectman Tropiano, seconded by Clerk Slavin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. So they need to be notified.
Seems like makes sense.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Actually, they gotta have an
You wanna
event. They gotta have a...
advertise something you can't do.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly,
if-
yeah.
if for one reason or another, they weren't allowed to do it.
Exactly, it would kind of stink. All the people showed up and there was
Kind
no
of a
event,
bummer.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Let's see. Anybody have any 48-hour business? Selectman Tropiano, Selectman Scasiotti, Selectman Whiteside, Clerk Slavin.
No,
You're just thinking about something.
the electric cars have a 275-mile range, just so you know.
Okay. I thought you went to Boston, not Mount Washington.
5 miles left.
Okay, then. All right, Town Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Capital Planning Committee will be meeting on Thursday with the department heads going over the requests, or I should say grilled by Mrs. Slavin. It's interesting because during this, we received an email from somebody at Little Harbor, and they were pretty outraged, I understand, in some ways, but they were shocked that we had basically one surf rake for the entire town, and that when it broke, we weren't able to get it up and running. This is sort of, we're hitting the point in a lot of our equipment. The grader, most likely, if we have any sort of decent free cash, is something that's going to be coming forward. It's about $350,000. I mean, the grader that we have, the amount of hours and the age of it, I think it's a little over 30 years now for that.
Oh, at least.
Thing. Yeah, so the company, when they bought it, or we bought it, I should say, we got such a great deal because the company was going out of business. So, right now, we're in another company purchased it, and you were able to get some parts, but now you have to actually fabricate all the parts for it, or you have to have somebody out there for it, which takes a really long time. And that went down for a little bit while they were doing the roads in Rose Point. And we received the call, you did my neighbor's road, you didn't do us, who do they know? And it's not that they know, that was luck of the draw before the machine went down. So, you know, the capital items and the system we've set up to be able to purchase them through free cash, it's the only way we can get these items. We cannot have these in our budgets year in, year out. So this is what's really important. And when you see the requests, and I had it was sort of as a sort of joke, I received a communication from the chief saying, hey, you think we need another new station or more room, when they are inventorying all those sneakers? They were outside inventorying everything. So we're getting to a bit of a slapstick point here. So just, going over, we understand that it can be frustrating for the residents. And a lot of times the question is, where does it go? And you answer it, you bring them, you can show them the documents, but then afterwards they still say, but where does it go? So it's tough all around for it. So it's just, one of these things, I want to keep everybody advised, us trying to make sure that we have free cash, and the way we set this up, that's, free cash is basically the amount of money you have after you've expended all your funds, all the revenues coming in. That's what's left over is certified from the previous year. You have some communities like Bourne has had up to $5 million, and they try and roll that over and make sure they have it. We've been doing very well in our free cash. It's been, the department heads, they don't spend the money. If something comes along and they have a project and it's cheaper, they don't just spend that money. And that's what I'm really impressed with is our department heads. Because, there's some, the thought process is that if you give us, the town, $1, we're going to try and spend $1.10, and that's just not true. So it's because we're going to be going to the budget season soon, and you'll hear a lot of whining from me. So that's my prep.
Well, okay then. Liaison initiative reports.
I'm all set.
All set. All set. I just want to remind everybody that there's a hearing Thursday night, 6:30, in the Town Hall Auditorium on the master plan.
Yep.
Be there. Be there, be there.
Need the input.
Yep.
Okay. All right. On actually early Tuesday, one of the mobile home parks actually called me. There was some construction signs on their driveway going out to Cranberry Highway, and this probably exists other places. When the state was doing Route 28, the contractors, it's a little weird deal. They put their signs up, and they stay there. They don't remove the signs until the project is completely signed off on, and it could be a $15 item that's not done yet, but they don't remove the signs until it's done. I thought it was kind of strange, but I checked into it, and I got back to the particular park and stuff and let them know that they weren't picking on them, that the signs would be removed when the project is completely signed off on. They understood, and we took care of that, so in case anybody else has an issue in that area. Council on Aging, I took that meeting this past Thursday. We had some discussions on different pieces there, and I believe that I think I resolved a bunch of issues they had and explained the process, et cetera, so I think that came out okay. Planning Board last night, one of the projects has been pulled, which is going to be those two large steel buildings. I think they're going to come back with a bigger project instead of a smaller one. We'll see what happens there. But they did pull the existing project out. There will be a change in the makeup of the board. Mr. Fitzgerald actually has given his notice. He's moving into Rochester, and there's an associate in place, and that person, hopefully on Thursday, if I understand right, they'll have a meeting of the appointing authority to take care of that issue.
Yep.
If the paperwork is all in place, I'm not positive on that at all. Trying to think there was something else we had. Well, let me go over what happened today in Boston. I have from Mr. Sullivan the climate change strategy update for his files. Once he gets done biting Mr. Bowen in the ear. Also, the community compact update, I've got the information there, and there'll be a new program effective at the end of fiscal 2019. We talked about a couple of programs the town of Wareham was involved with the projects, and there's more information here about applications, and you basically have to have your grant program completed before you can apply for another grant.
They're going to do our IT grant now?
I've asked them, they said we struck out twice, how about the third time? The problem with the IT grant is only $2 million. They had over 100 communities, apply.
We only wanted 400,000.
I know. So the problem is that, if you think about it, it's an average of $20,000 per community if it's 100. So it's not a lot, so it's really difficult. They actually said that the IT grants are the most difficult to get of all of them because of the short funding, so that's more for you. Let me just go this quickly. I don't want to take up everybody's time. I'm going to go home. Beep, The budget for 2017 was actually cut somewhere around $700 million. The growth ended up being about, it's supposed to be, 3.9 they worked on. It was a lot lower. Right now, they're, first 2 months of this year are only at 1.9. They'll have to wait till September's numbers are in October to see where they're going to be. The short-term rental program we talked about, where the people, rent their homes out, that's still kind of floundering at the State House. They haven't gone ahead and actually made hard and fast rules yet. I think we're not going to see that maybe before this session goes, but most likely next session in the spring. There are more solar changes coming. We just don't know how soon that affects solar projects, especially large-scale projects. There's 21 ballot petitions for the fall elections. There's a couple to reduce the sales tax, and there's a couple other revenue-reducing petitions. Normally, we'd all, on this side of the table, say that's great, because, we have to pay less taxes. Unfortunately, less taxes means less revenue for the town of Wareham, coming from the state. And where they already have what looks like to be a shortfall, and with 9C cuts looming, et cetera, that's not going to work well at all. Zoning reform bills, we've been sitting before, House Bill 4420, Senate Bill 81. These are some drastic changes in zoning laws as far as discretionary zoning laws that result in discrimination, et cetera. They're going to take away some of the controls the cities and towns have if these go through. You're going to have to watch these very carefully. Marijuana bylaw regulatory process is now moving forward. Basically, the commission is in place as 5 members instead of 3. If we want to have any restrictions, you have to have it done by early April, but with our moratorium, we have till June. Another piece that I think Mr. Sullivan's going to have to watch carefully is local EMS and ambulance billing. There's some bills in place for controlling health costs. Unfortunately, they're looking to put caps and rates on the EMS and stuff. We have a hard enough time collecting when we bill in the first place. And that, again, could be a problem for us. And as I said, there's a solar rate case before the legislation, could change the value of net metering credits, and that particular one is what I talked about earlier with Eversource. And that will definitely affect us because of the credits we have. And 2017's actual net deficit after they moved money around was $431 million, and the growth was only 1.4%. So we'll watch carefully, we'll see. Hopefully by October, November, we'll know what's going on. Unfortunately, nobody has any idea what the federal government's going to do or not do, and that's affecting everybody's decisions long-term. That's it.
Federal government's going to be shelling out billions of dollars in relief.
Got to have the money, just not just print it.
They just print it.
Okay, I don't have anything to report. I spent my time with fish.
It's good,
Fish are good,
especially sharks.
that too. We don't have any bills or documents, so,
Motion to adjourn.
okay, it's a tie.
Ditto.
Second.
Tie goes to
Gets
the
another
runner.
ditto. Motion by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Thank you very much. Good night, Wareham.
Wareham.